Someone stop the fake millionaires of Bolivia ping.
Punk full name. My full name is Crisancoro Tumiri. The rank you have in your company. Currently, I hold the gold rank. How do you take it?
Gold rank, they sell multi-level marketing, they sell courses, they throw around words like company and entrepreneurship.
To be an entrepreneur is to create, to position a new brand so that society, so that the people, and what did you learn today?
I learned a lot. What stood out to me more than anything was...
Prepare for one of the videos that'll give you the most cringe and second-hand embarrassment. But beyond how laughable it is, it also shows the ignorance and lack of education of a certain group of people who are victims and fall into these kinds of multi-level pyramid schemes. I know perfectly well that these people might seem ridiculous and extremely mockable to us. However, behind all that, let's note that there are people living in desperation because they lack money, education, and even basic schooling, and they can be manipulated very easily by someone with the worst intentions.
I want you to think about it. If these guys are doing this, it's because there are many poor people who fall for it, many people who sadly are deceived and lose everything because of these criminals.
Apparently, in the poorest and most precarious areas of Bolivia, the phenomenon of so-called network marketing has been rising, which is basically the typical multi-level marketing concept, just with a more technical and sophisticated name. But look, I don't understand much about this marketing and networking stuff, so I'll let a leather crack expert explain it to you.
Why is it a neural chain? I think silver, why is it a career? Because just like a career, you have to dedicate time to it. You have to be passionate about what you do. You have to
dedicate time to it. That's very true. Dedicating yourself to seeing who you can trick. So they join the MLM.
You have to do what's necessary, just like in a career. In fact, that in a career, some do it for the grades like most people. Others do it for the degree, and many do it. Why? To learn much more. Why is network marketing a marketing career?
I do it. They also call it network marketing. It's the same thing, MLM. Well,
because you still have to prepare yourself.
Did you understand why I didn't? It's this kind of empty speech that ends up exposing the so-called top leaders. I mean, like this guy isn't able to tell you absolutely anything for almost a whole minute, and how not even they themselves are able to argue their ideas with a bit of logic. That's why I mentioned that the people who usually fall for this kind of speech are actually people who really lack education and common sense. They would be the perfect victims. They would be the assets for these peculiar characters to make some money, not the supposed companies and businesses they mention so much. It's actually the desperate and needy people who end up buying into all this talk to get out of their precarious situation. Of course, the most ironic thing of all is that it's obvious from a mile away that there's a lack of education and training of any kind. So much so that these guys even have trouble pronouncing words correctly. And no.
Look, there's something important here. The problem isn't whether they pronounce bad words correctly or not. That doesn't matter. The problem is that these guys try to take advantage of other people. And a problem that these network marketing companies or MLMs have is that they almost always work the same way. They get you in, and at first they do pay. Yeah, you start to see a return and they tell you, look, invite your acquaintances, your family members, invite them. And so you do. Maybe if you don't know how, if you have no idea, you think, okay, does this really work? Does this really offer any benefit? I'm going to invite them because they're paying. And that's how these hotshot leaders turn victims into perpetrators. That's why many times they manage to get away with it. And once their pyramid scheme or their MLM collapses, they start another one. I mean, it's crazy.
Sometimes to express themselves decently.
Full name Alex Bustos Quiste. What is multi-level marketing to you? It's a very powerful tool that is currently lifting many people from poverty to wealth.
Well, maybe for those at the top, yes, but for the rest, it ruins their lives. Many times because the people who fall for it, many of them don't have resources. Guys, there are people who sell their houses, their cars, and everything to get into these kinds of scams.
In my opinion, multi-level marketing is here in Bolivia to help shape people and make a real difference in many people's lives. What do you understand by financial education? For me, financial education is, let's see.
If a person had financial education, they wouldn't fall for these scams. We agree on that, right?
Making money work for you?
You can already see how even they themselves can't agree on what multi-level marketing is, and whenever you ask them, you'll get several different answers. Of course, because they don't give you technical economic concepts or even something that sounds more professional. It's all about cheap motivation and the same old canned line every time. They sell it to you as the solution to escape mediocrity and the much talked about financial freedom, selling you the illusion with an extravagant, wildly over-the-top facade. And it's at this point where perspective plays an extremely important role. Because listen up people, when we see these outfits and the way the leaders dress, it just makes us cringe and feel second-hand embarrassment, understanding that they're just posers trying to look rich.
It's just that these guys, they wear suits. Look, I'm not going to criticize that. I mean, I wear suits in my own videos, right? But they have such peculiar outfits, so flashy, so extravagant. They wear green, fluorescent or yellow suits or red ones, but really shiny. I mean, these people are crazy. Seriously, they try to look as extravagant as possible because they think that's how they look rich, but to us, they just look ridiculous like clowns. But sadly, there's a part of the population, a part of society that does fall for it, and that's the saddest part of all.
However, there's a group of people who, because they lack experience and street smarts, look at these guys and actually believe they're rich. Or do they just think they're important because of their clothes? I'm not lying when I tell you that there are extremely naive and vulnerable groups who, just because someone wears a suit, immediately trust them and start believing whatever they say has value. To us, they might seem like exaggerated phonies, but believe it or not, many people fall for scams in their lives just because they think a suit and tie are a sign of success and wealth.
Here's my advice. Take risks, live happily, live for the challenge. Only then is a person truly between winning or losing in life. That's how it is. So when you're in that situation between losing or winning, what do you choose? Many people, because it's easier, say, okay, I won't go there. So they choose the easiest path, which is to lose. But to win, we know you have to make an effort, right?
What's the biggest dream you have?
Drive a BMW. Drive a BMW? Let's see. So you all get an idea. Then, the students at Yedos Fitness were celebrating having an iPhone. I mean, someone bought an iPhone and was on the verge of tears. Just imagine that. And he still does this. See how he poses like, I'm fixing my suit to look impressive? Ha ha, a place you'd like to travel to. Also, no.
Lugar donde quisieras viajar.
But it's always the same tacky suits. I mean, unbelievable.
Don't you realize what kind of audience this content is aimed at? But above all, how has such a copy-paste stereotype been formed from these? It's all about selling illusions, and watch out. What stands out the most is seeing how all these guys seem to have come out of the same factory. I mean, literally, they all dress the same, wear the same clothes, the same suits, the same flashy watches, and even the same haircut. The thing is, their stereotype isn't just about appearance, but also about how they talk. They have the same speeches, they think the same, they act the same. It's like they copy everything word for word.
And they're all leaders. All of them are leaders, and you look at them and think, for God's sake, you can't even manage your own room, man, and you say you're a leader.
And even the same classist and discriminatory mentality is about holding contempt for the middle class.
Always talking about the poor, you know, these poor people, etc., but honestly, you're poor too. What do you want me to say? But they do this to try to hit the ego of the people who will end up falling into their trap, into their lie. That's why the fitness people are constantly attacking the poor.
It's no coincidence, and they call everyone mediocre, repeating the same toxic doctrines of their most admired role models.
We're here with someone who has results. What's your name, my friend?
Efrain Mamani Gazara Efrain.
How long have you been with the company?
Already? What about in the company?
What? A person who gets results. Look, please, the typical suit. My God, red but really shiny. Really shiny. It's incredible, guys. Incredible. I mean, they're all the same. Incredible, incredible.
What did you learn today?
I learned a lot. One of the things that caught my attention the most was mainly the process and the experience I had sharing the stage. Mainly that.
The leader. I mean, another one. Everyone's a leader.
Her story really impacted me because I related to it, and I saw many people on my team with similar experiences.
And look, the worst part is all of these people are wearing suits, and that's enough for them to sell them to you as success stories just because they're wearing a suit.
I would say to those people who still haven't made the decision yet not to wait any longer, because the truth is this project really will change your life and your family's life, just like it's changing the lives of many people out there, you know?
Brian, what did you learn at this month's event?
Well, honestly, I learned not to give up despite difficulties, debts, or the problems that can come up every day.
Let's see, that's good. I totally agree. That's the problem too. Many times they tell you obvious truths, common sense things, and within those truths, they throw in some crazy ideas. So that's why a lot of people fall for it too, because they tell you, look, you shouldn't give up, you should try to move forward, get ahead, leave bad habits behind, and all those are good things, they're positive things, but then the rest, my God, are just crazy.
It's impressive how even the haircut of these guys is the same. Let's notice how their knowledge isn't based on anything technical or professional, but is simply a canned speech full of motivation and cheap aspirations.
Of course, they're all motivational speeches, and watch out, these are the leaders of Bolivian networking. But for God's sake, it's the same in Peru, it's the same in Ecuador, in Colombia, in Argentina, in Brazil, in Mexico, in the United States, even in China. I mean, these kinds of people are everywhere, and please guys, let's learn to identify them, because seriously, these guys are completely crazy. But anyway, let's continue with the leaders.
As we can see in the videos, in these groups there aren't just older people or seniors, but also very inexperienced young people who have fallen into the pyramid schemes. And look, I want us to pay close attention to the level of brainwashing these people have gone through, to the point where they've completely lost their identity and now they're just robots repeating the same thing, and they even look at you the same way, as they've abandoned their autonomy and their entire personality, so much so that the shark mindset has even changed their appearance and the way they dress, trying to emulate and look like successful millionaires when in reality, they're not. Careful, because this is one of the most worrying and powerful weapons that the hotshot leaders have. Selling an identity instead of a business, selling the illusion and the idea of already feeling rich and successful without actually being so, and without having a salary. Just a penny in their pocket, because let's be honest, most of these people don't actually have money or financial stability.
The only thing they have is a suit, and one of those suits that, no, it's crazy, they look like they came straight from some cheap market.
Since their business is about how many people they can get into their pyramid so they can earn some commission.
How do you understand the idea of starting a business?
Starting a business is about creating to position a new brand that society, the people, or the world doesn't know. And is it difficult? Difficult. There are the challenges, the problems, and not just anyone positions themselves overnight. They've sweated, they've cried, they've been stressed. But I think that in itself shapes your character. Starting a business is the hardest thing, but that's why few dare. Few dare to become entrepreneurs.
To the point that even he himself hasn't dared. He's in a pyramid scheme in a multi-level marketing business.
And I'm sorry folks, but honestly I have a hard time taking these guys seriously. I try to be respectful enough to analyze these cases, but honestly it's hard to take these guys seriously when they don't even know how to express themselves well, and on top of that, they act like role models and experts when they're not. And it's right here where we find the key to the growth of these multi-level marketing companies. And that's the formula for getting all these people into a bubble and making them feel special.
Very true. That's why they have their team, their leaders. Each one is a leader. Then each one is a master. I don't know what else. I mean, as more people are brought into the pyramid, they move up in rank, move up in category. And no, they already feel super special. They feel like they're number one, the top leaders in their scheme, which is a lie. It's all a sham.
That is, they work on their mindset to fill them with airs and a sense of superiority, to make them feel different and that their surroundings are mediocre compared to them. That's the reason why they not only show off opulence and ego through their outfits, but also with their mindset of looking down on and sneering at regular employees or everyday workers. The idea that studying is bad, that university is useless, that being a worker is a failure, these are the kinds of things I'm talking about. These are the things that poison their perception of success and lead them to make the worst possible decisions.
I agree, but there's something else we need to discuss. The reality is that nowadays college, see, that's why so many people fall into these traps, into these scams, because there's always a touch of truth, a touch of reality. For example, in this case, college as we know it is obsolete, or at least it's not adapted to today's needs, which I think is actually the right way to put it. I'm not telling you not to study. For example, if you don't really know what to do with your life and you're young, the best thing you can do is to keep studying, stay in school, go to college, and look for a field of study that might be somewhat interesting and that can help you grow. Maybe engineering or something like that, because the harsh reality is that there are many degree programs these days that don't lead to much anymore. I mean, there are many degree programs that are even unnecessary. That's why I say the education system should change. It should take a 180-degree turn, but that doesn't mean learning is bad. You know, and the problem with these people is that's what they're trying to sell.
Bibles.
But I didn't connect with studying or that life. I left.
And they say these things that sometimes entrepreneurs and really successful people mention, that they didn't fit into the system and even did badly in school. Yeah, sure. That's why people listen to this, especially those who get scammed and think, oh my God, these people are right. And besides, many people think it's true, I'm one of them, because on top of that, they tell you their story and say, look, 2 years ago, my life had no direction. I was lost. I was sinking, but now I became a millionaire. I mean, successful, and no, what these people say is just crazy.
They don't even know what that's about. I quit my job. I told them nicely. I said, thank you, I told them, but now I continue on my path.
And get into multi-level marketing.
I had to keep going. I left many things behind and I couldn't turn back. I couldn't, dear partner, I couldn't. Along the way, there were people who left me, people I cared about, people I asked for.
I thought continuing wasn't for me. They left me alone.
It's these things that poison their perception of success and lead them to make the worst possible decisions. And this is exactly what's most dangerous about their messages. Being irresponsible by telling people to their faces to quit their jobs, drop out of school or university, selling them the story that these are necessary sacrifices and the path to success. I mean...
Look, there's always a touch of truth. That's why they're able to manipulate, because honestly, many times if you want to achieve success, you do have to make sacrifices. People nowadays aren't willing to sacrifice things, and today we live in the age of immediacy. People want everything to be easy, people want everything to be simple, and suddenly they come across people who tell them, in just a few years I went from being poor, from not knowing what to do with my life, to being rich. A millionaire with this multi-level marketing, with this business idea I'm presenting to you, with this opportunity I'm bringing you. And well, many people who have problems in their lives, especially nowadays, with the economic crisis we're facing. So guys, remember this very well. More than 70% of young people under 34 years old haven't been able to move out of their parents' house. Remember this very well. So, since many of them have parents,
and, well, understandably, their parents tell them, hey, when I was your age, I already had a wife. I was married with kids, with a house, with a car, and you're still here living in the same room, in the same bedroom. How is that possible?
And so there are a lot of desperate people who look for an easy way out, and they find it through these scammers.
I mean, these people not only have a direct impact on their victims' wallets, but also power over their life decisions. And in drastic decisions like leaving college or their jobs. Even if it doesn't seem like it, what's truly worrying is that these speeches are still being sold in the same way. And these people organize bigger and bigger events where they keep attracting more followers.
This project has given me everything.
How many people can't it be possible for? In Bolivia, an opportunity, remember what I told you, they call it an opportunity that is changing many lives, of course, but for the worse, it's incredible. And the only lives it's changing for the better are the children's. True leaders, the real ones, not these so-called leaders. No, the real ones. The ones at the top of the pyramid. Those guys are becoming millionaires at the expense of all these poor fools.
And I want the same thing to happen to you who's watching me.
Just look at that incredible.
To whoever's watching, I hope it happens to you. Smiling.
He arrived in Bolivia in Latin America to wait.
But what is this? It can't be. Incredible.
It doesn't matter what the problem is. It doesn't matter what happens.
No matter how many companies close their doors, no matter how many companies leave.
The number of people at these events is striking and concerning at the same time.
Because this is just one of several little companies like this, one of many multi-level marketing schemes, just one of many. That's why it's concerning to know how many people have gotten involved in these things. How many?
It's just that as long as there is need, poverty, and above all a lack of education, well, these people will keep finding work and will keep making money at the expense of scamming others. All that's left for us is to spread the word on social media to expose their lies, and for the most vulnerable people to stop buying into their false promises.
I totally agree. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this video from the Senor Josue channel. I'll leave the link to the full video, the original video, in the description. Thanks for watching, goodbye, and see you next time.